Hey review family, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morris, the review guy, reviewing music for the love of music, and I'm back again to bring you another video. And in this one, I'm going to be covering the new Frozen Soul record entitled Crypt of Ice. So if you watched my most anticipated albums video, this was one of the more recent records that I was really keeping on my radar and excited for. This can be boiled down to numerous reasons. Number one, in the growing field of bands that are playing old school death metal, I feel like this band was sort of sitting on top of the corpse pile in a strong way that made them stand out in some way or another. Yes, they are involved in the bloodbath, but they're the one carrying one of the biggest swords. They're the one counting the most bodies. They're the ones upping their kill count to the point to where you see them the most. Not to mention their 2019 debut demo on Maggot Stomp, which is notorious for releasing some really great underground death metal releases. That record was really gaining some traction, and then they came out with some splits, and before you know it, they're already signed to Century Media fucking Records. And for an upstart band, especially a death metal band, to just pop in and get on Century Media with a debut full-length studio album, that is cause to sort of keep them on your radar, to keep your eyes on them. And they really do live up to their iconography. They really do live up to their name and the album art and the titles of these songs. This band is intentionally chilling, playing this old school variation of mid-tempo death metal from lower, chuggier sections that don't necessarily touch doom metal so much as slightly graze them with a finger and sort of poke and prod at it, to these faster thrash metal centric riffs that feel more reminiscent of some of the 80s bands that would occasionally go into a sort of throttling and galloping thrash metal inspired riff with these dense vocals that are hanging in the background like a warped goblin and some drum work that bust. Sort of a glaring issue I can have with this record is despite its short runtime, I feel like there could have been more done to diversify the riffs. There are numerous tracks that reach a certain crescendo or a plateau, or just basically start the same as another track in such a way that it at times makes it difficult to tell the tracks apart and for them to have an individual flavor, which is an issue that a lot of death metal full lengths have. And I think that's one issue that this band particularly has following their demo, because on a demo, when you're playing with more of a compact track listing, you have a lot more room to just riff out, to just have a good time. But with a record that is 39 minutes long, which in the grand scheme of things isn't the longest death metal record ever released, that still is a lot of playing room that leaves a lot of room for error. The way they approach the Frozen themes, whether it be a sound effect, usually it is within the intro to add sort of an atmospheric element. Crypt of Ice and Hand of Vengeance are examples of this, where you'll get an ominous introduction that sort of fits in with their mold. In comparison, I think a track like Encased in Ice handles this theme much better. The rolling introduction is one of the most eerie death metal openers in a while that not only rightfully gives you something to look forward to going into the track, but opens up the track's theme in a strong way. I just wish they would have followed through a bit more on that, because with these ominous intros, a lot of times they just immediately will transition to a hard death metal riff, and there can be a sort of odd juxtaposition, and not necessarily in the best way possible. Sort of a fractured disconnection between what they're hoping to accomplish, obviously, and what they are ending up accomplishing. But standing at 10 tracks and 39 minutes for a debut record, I think this is an old school slab of death metal that plays in the mid-tempo. It never becomes too fast, it never becomes too slow, and for the most part, and you could take this or leave it as a good or bad thing, it's pretty unoffensive. It's not intrusive, it's pretty much comfort food, it is very familiar. The type of record that if you enjoy mid-tempo death metal, it's going to be right up your alley. While I did enjoy more of this record than I didn't, I hope that in the future they follow through more with their themes in a way that feels like a story bridging the gap from start to finish, as opposed to sort of scatterbrained ideas and atmospheric intros that are scattered about. Not to mention, I would love to see some more variation from slow to fast. Staying in the mid is perfectly okay, and going into chuggier sections and slightly thrash metal sections is perfectly fine. It's a tried and tested formula. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. Don't fix it if it's not broken. But I think this band is capable of more because they do have some great riff writing. I do worry that this band and this album could theoretically fade into the background a bit, because still comparing it to the pedestal of other contemporary death metal bands, they do sort of blend into the pack. But I am curious to see where this band goes in the future, to say the least. Me personally though, I'm going to be giving this album a 6.5 out of 10. And that is a wrap. Have you heard this new Frozen Soul record, Crypt of Ice? If you have, let me know in the comment section below what you thought about it. I would love to discuss this record with you. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is, my name is Dream Wars, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.